What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to 𝗪𝗧𝗡 Journey. So today I want to talk about their upcoming earnings, which is only one trading day away. I do want to go over some points that some investors should be aware of, especially about their earnings, some expectations. I do want to also go through some updated data points and tie it all together with some technical analysis. But before I get into any of that, all I ask, smash a thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Greatly appreciate that. If you do like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With all that, let's get right to it. So as you can see right here, February 28th, 2022, after market close, that is when they're going to have their earnings, and that is going to be a very big deal. They're going to be touching on a lot of different things. So in case you are new to investing or not familiar with earnings, there are several different points that a lot of investors should be aware of and that Lucid is going to disclose. So earnings per share, that's one thing as well that people are going to be looking at, revenue and future guidance. I do strongly feel that their future guidance is going to be their saving grace, their bread and butter, and that's going to dictate where Lucid actually goes in the short term, but that is neither here nor there. There's a lot of different points that is going to be brought up. And so like I said, earnings per share is going to be disclosed along with revenue. So right now, looking at this, it is estimated the earnings per share is going to be at a negative 26-cent loss. So hypothetically, if we do have a 24-cent loss, for instance, that is still better than expectation. And in theory, it should cause the price to go up based on that because we did beat expectations. But like I said, there's a lot of different things. We're also going to be talking on revenue, and once revenue numbers do come out, people are going to instantly guarantee it that they're going to be typing out and trying to figure out how many vehicles were delivered based on the revenue. That is also going to cause a lot of volatility because that will dictate whether we actually met our 2021 deliveries or not. That's something as well for us to all keep in mind. And in addition to that, there is going to be reservation numbers. So there's a lot of different numbers going to be disclosed, and that all could be very much bullish, bearish, or whatever it might be, or you might actually have a very good combination of everything. But yet, like I said, their guidance might be their saving grace. There's a lot of different ways that earnings could play out, and there is an article that does easily lay everything out. So like I already said, in theory, about their expectations about earnings per share, that's one thing that people need to keep in mind. About the revenue, again, that's something that people are going to be watching very closely and associating that with actually the amount of deliveries. And actually, there is one thing I do want to bring up just to clear the air, because I see some inconsistent information on Twitter and stock forums. Just to educate some individuals, this earnings that they're going to be disclosing is only up until December 31st. So in theory, if they are still delivering Dream Editions right now, that will not be counted in the total number as far as delivered or anything like that. It is only up until December 31st, 2021. So this is where people are speculating, did they actually do the full 577 vehicles delivered, produced, and everything like that? That is one thing that people are going to be watching for. In addition to reservations, so last quarterly results did show that there were 17,000 reservations, and there was a good post by John on my Discord, and definitely take a look at that in the description below. Good place to be as far as a Discord. So looking at this though, you can technically see that there is an estimate of 26,000 pre-orders, which represents an additional 2,000 pre-orders per month, which is pretty realistic if you ask me. I have been saying roughly about 24,000. To be honest, I don't know necessarily where I came up with that number. That just seems realistic in my opinion. But yeah, 24,000 is where I honestly do see it going. And if it is within the 24,000, I do strongly feel that is a very positive catalyst and should in theory cause the price to go up based on that information as well. But like I said in previous videos, if I personally feel that 24,000 is very bullish, there might be 10 individuals that were assuming 30, so it in theory would go down based on that information. Again, it's always a power struggle, and it's always up to a lot of people's interpretation of what is bullish, what's bearish, and everything like that. This is why earnings is always like a gun show. People never really necessarily know where to go. I typically might see something as bullish, another individual might see it as bearish. But again, just keep that in mind. But like I said, those are some things that people are going to be watching for. So revenue, earnings per share, those numbers are going to come out straight away. Then it's going to be their future guidance. So future guidance, like I said, there's a lot of different things they can talk about. This is why it is a smoking gun. It could easily say a lot of positive things or just might stay silent. That is one thing why I strongly feel it is a smoking gun, because technically they could talk about Europe growth. They could talk about Saudi Arabia. They could talk about the gravity being moved up. Most likely not, but again, those are things that could possibly be brought up. And so like I said, those are very strong catalysts. And with that, I just want to touch on some data points very relevant to a lot of investors, especially leading up to their earnings, and more so as well on Friday. So Friday was a very positive day as far as on the stock price, and right now technically shorts. I want to bring up short information because I found some things very interesting based on that. Looking at short interest, 1919 is a short interest, up roughly about 4%. Utilization is 100%. And keep in mind, looking at this, I'm sure your eyes already saw this, but on Friday they closed out 10.05%. So that is a very big deal. And I bring up short information again, not necessarily because I feel it's going to be a short squeeze, but these are the individuals that are contrary to what we actually do believe. So coming from this standpoint and with what I just said, when I see them closing out 10%, that ultimately means that they are very scared about the future, that it's not really worth the risk to them. In addition to cost to borrow average is up 13.39%. So that is definitely very good. It's been bumping up more and more over the last couple of days. So at the end of the day, they're very skeptical about their earnings, especially holding it into that, which is ultimately for the long-term investor is very bullish. And like I said, this article does go over some risks and is very positive for the most part. But at the end of the day, there's one thing that is said at the very end that I strongly hits home to me and what I've been kind of portraying in a lot of videos. I continue to believe that investing in Lucid for the long term may be the best approach, because like I've been saying, there is going to be some positives, some negatives from this earnings. But at the end of the day, if you have a very long-term time horizon, such as 5 to 10 years out, you're not going to necessarily care or even remember what came from this earnings. So just keep that in mind. There's going to be a lot more earnings every single quarter, especially if you have a 5-year time horizon, for instance. You're again not going to care what happened in this one. So at the end of the day, it is what it is, depending on your time horizon. I personally have a very long-term time horizon, so this is why necessarily it is good. I'm watching this very closely because if there is a dip, I'm going to buy it. But long-term, like I've been saying, is kind of where you're going to make the most money. The patient investors are going to make the most. I know technically from a holding standpoint, it's not necessarily being the best. And with that, just want to transition and talk on some technicals. And I'm sure a lot of individuals know what I mean by it's been painful to hold it, just looking at this downtrend. But with that, right now I have the 50, 100, 200-day moving averages, Bollinger Bands, RSI, stochastic, and momentum. So given all the circumstances, it is fairly bullish. I do really like that. Looking at the momentum indicator, number of buyers have been going up slowly, which is very positive. And I personally like the stochastic indicator by itself because it definitely does show and does indicate usually a very accurate bullish trend. And right now there is a deviation, so black line above the red, so showing a bullish sentiment. But like I said, their earnings could definitely dictate that or change that, more specifically their guidance. And looking at RSI is at 41. So given all the circumstances, I am very bullish on this. Right now, we're well below all the moving averages, and we are most likely going to attempt on Monday the transition from the lower to the higher percentile Bollinger Band. There's going to be a lot of momentum and people getting in because of their earnings. And like I said, there's a lot of individuals that think it's going to be a complete bomb. Some people think it's going to go up. It is all over the place, and most likely that's going to cause a lot of volatility. But at the end of the day, like I said, depending on your time horizon, it is best to hold it long term. And in addition to that, there's one final thing. I just want to bring up options from Friday. So again, I want to give you a good picture of everything that happened. So Friday was a very big day. So there's $48.16 million worth of options being done. So a lot of money going in, only 5% positive. So this is where you get some inconsistent information. Options wasn't necessarily the best, but like I said, when it comes down to the shorts, which represents and does show a very bullish trend, same as indicators. So this is why, again, going back to it, you have a lot of inconsistent information, especially a lot of mixed feelings on their upcoming earnings. And this is why I'm bringing this up. And overall for the previous week, it was only 26% positive. And whether the options activity is fairly low because they're anticipating more of a downtrend with Russia or rate hikes or whatever they may feel, but at the end of the day, I strongly feel that it is going to be a very good earnings, and shorts definitely do show that. And so it being down 10% is a very big deal. With all that, let me know your thoughts on Lucid in the comments below. If you haven't already, smash a thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Greatly appreciate that. If you do like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With all that, I appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.